I need to say two things immediately here. Number one, I am not a supporter of the Disney live-action remake strategy. And number two, the Mission Impossible franchise is my favorite movie franchise of all time. So with those two things being said, I'm here to tell you that the live-action remake of Lilo and Stitch was better than Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. And to be honest, that says more about my love of this movie than my disappointment for Mission. I couldn't wait to see the opinion of different reviewers I watch on YouTube on what I consider to be easily the best Disney live-action remake I've seen. And of course, normal, grown-up reviewers out there like Dan Murrell, Christian Harloff, and Jeremy Johns all had various levels of opinions, good and bad, with an overall view that this movie was at least decent enough, all the way to really good. But then I made the mistake of continuing to scrolling until I found videos with millions of views using all sorts of hyperbolic bullshit, tearing down this movie because and only because it was made by Disney. Look, is this movie as good as the original? Of course not. If you go into any of these live-action remakes assuming this will pass your childhood original favorite movie, you're insane. Anyone that is waiting to use that as criticism is already going into the movie with one hand tied behind their back. And to be clear, I was obsessed with the original as a kid. I own a pair of Lilo and Stitch shorts, and I probably watched the behind-the-scenes featurette of the original movie about 100 times. So I do have love in my heart for the original. Here's what it comes down to. The live-action remake of Lilo and Stitch is called Lilo and Stitch, and they nailed those two. Pitch freaking perfect. Would I have liked to see Gantu? Sure. But the movie's not called Gantu, so it's okay. I could still go watch the original. And by the way, if they do make a sequel for this movie, they could bring in Gantu for the sequel, and it's kind of genius that they kept him out of the first one. This movie is filled with heart, great performances, laughs for children and adults, and some absolutely tear-jerking sequences. Happy and sad. It's not a spoiler to say that Hawaiian Roller Coaster Ride makes an appearance in the movie, and the second it started playing, I literally burst into tears. The creators involved with this clearly had care for the original, and it showed. I think the problem with so many live-action remakes today, and my issue with all of them, is that they take these animated characters with such incredible expressive detail and personality, and they make them look like normal people. Of course, what can you do? That's the whole point of a live-action remake. But I feel like the expressionism of those characters is what makes the original movies so good, and you lose that when you turn them into normal-looking human beings. But the reason why this movie works is because you still have Stitch, who you can keep as a photoreal cartoon and bring him to life. He can still make all the same expressive faces, so the essence of what Stitch is and what he was in the original is still there. That's why I also think the How to Train Your Dragon remake will be great. They didn't just make Toothless look like a real dragon. That would suck. They just put the cartoon of Toothless in the real world. As I sat in the theater with my father, watching the updated Disney Castle logo play over the beginning of the movie, I had a pretty sobering thought. The Disney Castle intro, the song, When You Wish Upon a Star, the Disney brand as a whole, this used to mean so much more to everybody. This all used to be a beacon of creativity, escapism, hope. And now it's become this punching bag of evil and cash grabs according to the angry people who live their lives perpetually online. The internet has done its best job to strip away all the childhood mysticism that Disney once meant to all of us. And in that moment sitting there before the movie started, I was really thinking about that and thinking, God, that sucks. And look, I'm not trying to absolve Disney of all the creative mistakes they've made in the last decade or so. Of course, they've made a lot. But even if I came out of the remake of Lilo and Stitch thinking, God, that was terrible, it doesn't change the fact that the same studio who just made this bad movie also gave me the original, which partly shaped who I am today. And I think we're so quick now to turn our backs on different studios with the what have you done for me lately attitude, without also acknowledging all the great they did for us along the way. And to see all these pathetic, grown-ass male YouTubers mining views of the people so ready to roast anything Disney content related is embarrassing, pathetic, and simply untrue. Not only am I here to tell you that I thought the Lilo and Stitch remake was great, but the mainstream audience is here to tell you that too. With a Rotten Tomatoes score of 93%, a cinema score of A, better than Mission Impossible, this movie completely justifies its existence. Anyway, I didn't think I'd be writing 1,000 words on how Lilo and Stitch bested Tom Cruise, but here we are, I guess. I'm just happy that they're both making a ton of money, so these sad YouTubers have nothing else to make videos on. Hey, has Rachel Zegler posted anything recently? We're kind of running out of material here.